Running hard. I can see it on myself too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I think you look good.
Thank you. But my eyes.
Good evening, everyone.
My eyes do look a little reddish. Good evening, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. I'm ready to nap. Come on in. Come on in. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
If you saw me this morning,
Good evening.
Yeah, whatever it is. If y'all saw me this morning, y'all saw me with the same shirt on, and I've been running the whole day long. Good morning. Let us know where you're streaming from.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I told you I'm all twisted up. Good evening. Let us know where you're streaming from. Hey, Tatiana.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening to you. Good evening.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. Ashley, what's up? Tabby, what's up? What's up?
Let us know where you're streaming from this evening.
I love how y'all keep it
welcome,
real.
Welcome.
We try to. Real, raw, and relevant.
Yes.
Always try to keep it 100. 100. So, interesting topic tonight.
Yes. I'm excited about the topic.
Yeah. We're just going to let it flow.
I think we'll all be able to get something out of this topic.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Okay, I see. Land O'Lakes, Delray Beach, Mango. Tampa in the house. Riverview.
Yes.
Good evening, all. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Washington, D.C. What's up? What's up? Why, mama? What's up?
I bet the weather's nice in D.C. right now.
It's awesome. All right. Well, Land O'Lakes, what's up? God bless you all. My name is Jomo.
I'm Charmaine.
And we come together on Friday nights and we try to be real, raw, and relevant in reference to relationships and how to navigate through the challenges that come. Two becoming one is never easy.
Right.
Ultimately, we all want what we want when we want it. And to navigate through this, we have to make sure that we have compromise, plan, and have strategy. So what we do, we come together on Friday nights just to be real with you, to help relationships and marriages move forward and grow. So as we jump in tonight, we've been married now
almost 23 years.
Yes. Is it Sunday?
Sunday is our anniversary.
On Sunday, we'll be married 24 years.
23 years.
It's 23?
Yes.
98? Yeah, 23 years. Okay.
But if you want to say 24, I'll go with you.
No, you're right. I'm, your math is better than my math. I'll let you have that. Anyway, Cousins Chronicles for tonight. Cousins Chronicles.
Our Cousins Chronicles are just our everyday stories throughout the week we share on this Friday Night Live.
Yeah. So what happened was, I think 2 days ago, my wife had one of those look you in the eye conversations. It wasn't bad. She said, Jomo, I think it would be a good idea for you to take the boys out and buy them, buy me some gifts for Mother's Day. Now, initially, my flesh wanted to say, that's kind of special. But Holy Spirit says, shut up and listen. So I shut up and listened. And she says, Jomo, how will the boys ever know how to honor and do right by their wives or their mother if you don't show them? And I sat back and paused for a minute. I said, that make a whole bunch of sense. I'm wondering why it took me 23 years of marriage to figure that out. Now, 23 years of marriage and 21-year-old sons, that means I've been dropping the ball for 21 years. Now, let me help you. Just because you may not have been doing something for a season does not mean you cannot do it for the right reason. I'm going to say that again. Just because you had not been doing it for seasons, however long the season is, doesn't mean you can't do a course correction for the right reason. Mm-hmm. So when I listen, I see, that makes so much sense. And oftentimes I see in relationships, we can't make course corrections because we don't want to receive from the messenger.
Right.
Just because it's your spouse doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right.
So I'm so thankful that I was in a posture that I can hear her because it made perfect sense. So
Right.
me and my guys are going to go out and we're going to do something as a teaching lesson. And I'm so
And
thankful.
because you love me and that I'm a good mother.
All those are true. But here's my takeaway, y'all. To be married now, 23 years on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just getting it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't be overcritical of where you are. Here's what we've done. I've learned. Our marriage is about to be 23 years old.
Right.
So we're an adult. Some of your marriages are a year old, 2 years old, 6 months old.
Right.
Well, how would a 6-month-old act? Like a baby. So many times people are trying to have a mature marriage without time.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says in Genesis 8:22, as long as the earth remains, there'll be seed,
Mm-hmm.
time, and harvest.
Right.
So many times we get frustrated because we planted a seed and we want to harvest. But the scripture says seed, then time, then harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, don't get too frustrated with the season of marriage you're in.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're working. Now, that revelation she gave me was good. I never thought of it that way.
And I'm glad you received it that way because I didn't mean it as a dig. But I do want, like, I'm constantly reminding the boys, like when they do something really good that I appreciate, I'll always say, you're going to be a great husband because your wife is really going to appreciate you for doing this. So that way they're doing things on purpose when they do get married. And I hope that some of the things that I'm saying to them just sporadically as they're growing up, they remember, like, my mom said that this is really good. This is something that she appreciates, or, you know, she thought that this is something that women would appreciate, because some guys just don't know. And you don't know what women like and what they don't like. And a lot of times we think that they just know instead of verbalizing what we like and what we don't like. So whenever they do things, like if Josiah just starts washing dishes for no reason, not because it's a chore or anything, but it's something that he's just trying to help out with, I compliment him on that. And I let him know that that's so helpful and I so
Right.
appreciate
That's
it.
real.
And your wife would love this when you do this for her after a long day's work.
Correct.
Or sometimes he'll just come in the room and bring me something to drink when he knows I'm not
He's
feeling
awesome.
well. Or he'll bring me a trash can thinking that I want to
Throw up.
vomit. Yeah.
Oh, he's
But
awesome.
he does those things.
Kind,
Very
generous.
kind. And I
He's
tell
awesome.
him, this is the stuff, babe, that I love about you. You are so kind. You're so generous. I said, these little thoughtful things, your wife is going to love this. You're going to be a great husband. I speak that into my sons now so that they aspire to be a good husband later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I called Josiah yesterday and I said, son, I really appreciate you setting your sister up on the computer. I said, you are so responsible. I mean, I just love you. I honor the man you're good. I mean, my point is speaking life.
Right, right.
Another Cousin's Chronicle. My son came in my room the other night and he said, hey, Dad, there's water on the steps.
Right.
I'm thinking, wait a second. What is over the steps that water would come from? Well, the shower. Whoa.
That's not good.
That's a 911. So, you know, we probably should have the plumber drain Jumbo shower too, but neither here nor there. So we had to get a plumber.
Yeah.
And then when we got about the plumber, I said we had a toilet issue on one toilet. Then we had a tub issue in another tub. And then we had something else with a door lock. I mean, I said, man, it seemed like everything was happening.
Right.
And Holy Spirit said, Jomo, if you have anything, you have to service it and maintain it. And you better understand, if you want a good relationship, you have to service it and maintain it.
Right.
And it's just part of it. And don't get frustrated with service and maintenance. Listen, if you want a nice car, you're going to have to pay for that.
That's right.
oil changes and tire rotations and all those things is part of it. Tonight, what I want to talk about is money and marriage.
This is so good.
So our main topic tonight is money and marriage. I got some statistics for you. And you know what got me on this topic was I was reading in the news this week that Bill and Melinda Gates are getting divorced.
What?
I think he's worth $145 billion. And then I thought about also that, you know, Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder, and his wife just recently got divorced, and I think she got 45 billion. And then I thought about J-Lo and A-Rod. That's like, man, what it hit me was they had money, but yet and still money couldn't fix the foundational issues, whatever it is. So that's what kind of gave me the impetus for this particular topic.
And to me, this topic, babe, is really good too, because it's for people, even if you're just dating, because sometimes it can be uncomfortable to talk about something like that when you're dating someone, because they don't want to tell you all their business. But it could be a deal breaker if it's something that, you know, you guys aren't able to be comfortable talking about, because it can ruin your marriage.
Here's what I would do if I were you. If you're dating and you're thinking about the person seriously, we both, a couple of things we need to do, okay?
You need to know their credit score.
Yes, Jesus. I would get two things I'd get: the credit score and an STD test.
What does that have to do with money?
Well, it's going to cost you. If there's something wrong right there, it's going to cost you a lot. That's what I was
That
thinking.
don't have nothing to do with money, boy.
No. These are things you need to know. I need to know your credit score.
What do you have, STD?
STD or COVID. One of them.
Stop it.
No. I'm playing. You need to understand their financial situation before you agree to move forward. It's called truth.
Right.
Okay, so here's some stats. I got this from Dave Ramsey. Just to give him credit for the statistics. He did a survey. Money is the number one issue married couples argue about. 86% of couples who got married in the last 5 years started out in debt. 86, almost 90% of couples who got married in the last 5 years started off in the red, in debt. The higher a couple's debt burden was, the more likely they argued. So there's a direct correlation to how much debt you have to how often you argue. Wow. Couples in healthy relationships are much more likely to talk about their money dreams and make long-term money goals. Interesting. All right. They say money is the second leading factor to divorce. Okay. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, if I am in debt or dating someone in debt, how are we going to talk about dealing with this debt? Now, I think when we got married, Charmaine had a little bit, I forgot what you had, but yeah.
It was like $5,000 worth of credit card debt.
Okay, so I married her, and I didn't have debt, and she had a little.
I got that credit card that you get in college. You get the free T-shirt, and you don't really know what you're signing up for. And then a credit card comes in the mail, and you're like, ooh, let me try it and see if it works. And then it works, and then it keeps working. And what was really good about what I did, because I didn't ruin my credit in college, I always paid the minimum payment, not realizing that if you just pay the minimum payment, you're never going to pay it off. But it didn't allow me to have bad credit. It allowed me to have established credit when I got out of college. Well, when I left college to be with him. And
what? You left college?
I was able to get like our utilities cut on because I had established credit.
What's so crazy is I had no credit and no debt.
No debt.
I couldn't get
credit, nothing. So I made him, after he paid off my credit card, I made him an authorized user, and we would just charge it and then pay it off.
How about this? Here is a interesting fact about Jomo.
What?
I've never had a credit card.
No, you haven't. Never.
I've never had one credit card.
I've always taken one for the team.
You started off with credit cards, chick. Don't try to play that game.
No, I had one credit card.
My thing was,
And I still have one credit
I
card.
always knew the game. I mean, even in college, I said, ain't nobody giving me a free T-shirt for credit card. This is a hookup. They trying to stink. They trying to get me.
It was a
So
really cute T-shirt.
in all my years, I have never had a credit card. Now, I don't know how many people can actually say that.
Right. Not very many.
I've never had a credit card. Not one.
But he couldn't rent a car either.
But I could buy one. How about that? I could buy one. But
because there's certain things you can't do. Some hotels don't accept the debit card. They only accept a credit card, which is so crazy. But we keep one credit card just for those times when we can't use our debit card, or they give you a hassle about using a debit card, like rental car places.
They say this: 41% of couples who have consumer debt say they argue about money. In comparison, only 25% of couples who are debt-free argue about money.
I would love to know, was finances, anybody that's listening, was finances ever a huge issue in your relationship? Just give us a why. If it ever, not, like you guys had heated fellowship over finances or money.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've been broke. I don't think we argued about it though. I just knew Jomo could get us out of it. So I just gave him all the money when we were broke. So I was like, make it work.
Well,
I trusted him.
You got to figure out the plan.
Right.
And I think we have to understand what is the priority, what is necessary, what is not necessary.
What are the goals?
What are the goals? And oftentimes I think people struggle in relationships because we have two different expectations. Mm-hmm. I know there was an expectation that our kids have to go to certain theme parks on a regular basis. And it's not a bad expectation. It's just that was the expectation that she was raised with. Her parents had an annual pass and they would go to the theme parks on a regular basis. They live in Tampa, so they can go to Busch Gardens or Disney World. And that was a norm. And we get married. And I'm like, I don't necessarily had that norm. Mm-hmm. So right. by me not having the norm, it wasn't a priority to me. Charmaine grew up with annual passes. So when you grow up with annual passes, and anybody knows that annual passes, you can go to the park whenever you want, regardless. So it was already factored into the budget that this is what we do as a family. And I never really had that. So when she was mentioning to me initially, I was like, they don't need to go to the theme park that much. But now I see, my point is, because we had different backgrounds.
Right. I think it wasn't necessarily the annual pass. It was more family time. So I didn't really care what we did, but it was the spending time with the kids and making memories with them and making sure that we made that part a priority. So we used to always go on vacations and do things together. And I don't know, my parents would always like make it a learning lesson or whatever. We would go to different museums and stuff like that and just vacations. So that wasn't like huge on Jomo's priority when we were, coming up with the budget, but it was huge for me because it was like some of the best times of me growing up with my parents that I had. So I think too, again, having a conversation with your spouse to let them know what your priorities are, let them tell you what their priorities are, because you may find that some things that they may say they absolutely need, you're looking like, no, we don't. But then you come to some type of agreement. You meet each other halfway.
Yeah, you gotta find your balance. I like nice stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily want to pay for it.
Right.
So we do have nice things, mm-hmm. but then it's all about, okay, what is the goal and what are we going after? And is it taking us off the goal or on point for the goal? Mm-hmm. Now, oftentimes God will bless you. You may have make a little extra money so you could do extra things, but right. The goal is to get to a certain spot. Now, here's another thing I found out, pretty interesting stat. 1 in 3 of mm-hmm. those who argue with their spouse about money confess that they have hidden purchase problems.
I've done that before because you're not fearful, but you don't want the judgment part. from the other spouse, or you don't want to feel like you have to like
defend, validate.
Not validate.
Okay, I'm spending words.
You don't want to feel like you have to
justify.
Hey.
Okay, I'm trying to help you.
You don't want to feel like you have to answer to someone every time that you make a purchase. So yeah, you're like, okay, I think I can make it, but I think it comes into play too. This was really good what we did. We told each other, okay, if the purchase is over XYZ amount, we have to discuss it before the purchase is made. So like for you in your house, let's just say, for example, it's $500. If you spend over $500, you taking $500 out of the account, we need to talk about it. For some people, it may be $100. Now, if you saying, well, it depends on how tight your budget is or how tight your money is at the time. But some couples might be like, look, if you take any money out of the account, I give you a certain amount each week or however your system works. If you take any money out of the account, we need to talk about it because bills coming out of this account. So you have to figure out what your system is going to be for spending money, because you don't want your spouse to feel like a child when they want to go buy a pack of gum.
Ain't nobody arguing about no pack of gum, I
was just trying,
No, I understand what you're saying. So what we have to do is you have to determine what your model is. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've had many models. We've had the single account model. Then we went to this with the single account and a Charmaine account model. Mm-hmm. And then we went back to the single account model, and we went back and forth. And what we did was we graduated. And we said, I would ask her, okay, what is your maintenance budget for the month, give or take? Okay. Hair, nails, money for whatever. And we determined what the number was. Mm-hmm. And then that number was direct deposited into her Charmaine account.
Right.
Okay.
That's when we had two accounts.
We had two accounts.
But Jomo had access to both accounts. It wasn't like he didn't have access to
Correct.
It. It was just something that I just used by myself.
Correct. So we did that for a season. And then we just, as our financial situation changed, mm-hmm. we upped it.
Right.
And then what I did was at a certain point in time, I said, okay, now what's your budgetary need now? And I make it a line item.
And let's make no mistakes. When we were tight on money, there was no getting hair and nails done. That was not a priority. The nails weren't getting done, and the hair was getting done right in the shower, in the bathroom. So you have to be realistic with yourself and figure out how aggressive you want to be when it comes to saving money, and how aggressive you want to go after whatever your goals are as a family, whether it be buying a house, getting a new car, whatever that be, vacations, you want to start vacationing. It is a balance. I think the communication piece is key to knowing, because usually when Jomo and I have a goal, we go after it hard. So we'll sacrifice things that we would normally do, places we would go, things that we would do. We've even sacrificed, at one point in time, we didn't have cable. We cut out a lot of stuff that some people would be like, oh man, I couldn't get rid of that. Yeah, you could, but you have to prioritize what you want to spend your money on.
Real talk. All right. So 1 in 3 has secret purchase problems. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is a quote, when a spouse hides purchases from their partner, it breaks down the trust in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Couples need to understand their money differences, like who's a spender and who's a saver, mm-hmm. so they can be on the same page with the finances. Right. Now, any spenders out there? Say yes. Say yes. Say, are you a spender? Are you a saver? I think I'm a saver.
And we're not talking about people that have the poverty mentality either.
Yeah.
Just because you have poverty mentality doesn't mean you're a saver. Yeah. It's a difference.
Yeah. Well, I think you can elevate your lifestyle based on the resources you have. Mm-hmm. That's what Paul said. You learn how to base, you learn how to bound, you learn how to be on top, and you learn how to be on the bottom. It's a process. Right. And as you grow, you can have more options.
Right.
There's a Happy Meal season, and then there's a, Five Guys season. And there's a Ruth Chris season. Then there's Eddie B season. It's just seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you understand that this is temporary and you're working towards a new season, it's
Right.
cool.
Right.
And that's the mentality you have to have. Okay, here's another statistic. 87% of respondents who say their marriage is great also say their spouse worked together on setting long-term goals about money.
Wow.
87% of couples who said they had a great marriage
Mm-hmm.
also said they set goals together about money.
That's good.
Mm.
And I mean, I think too, when you set goals at the beginning of the year, do a little checkup. How often would you suggest doing a checkup on whether, like whatever your plan was at the beginning of the year is working, so you can make adjustments if you have to, like quarterly?
I check every month, but I'm crazy. I'm an economics major, so.
But 1 month could be worse than another.
Yeah.
So
Quarterly is great. Quarterly is great. Usually what I do is I gauge at the end of every year, I tell Charmaine what we want to save for the year.
Right.
So every year there's a certain number that we need to save every year.
Right.
And so the goal is in X amount of years, we'll have X amount in the account, which gets X amount of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Got it? So my goal.
So how comfortable do you want to be when you retire?
Correct. So my goal is by the time I creep to 50,
mm-hmm.
my residual income pays all of our expenses. So identify what your nut is.
What do you mean by that?
The nut is what are your monthly expenses? Okay. Oh, you guys, did she?
No, I was just asking. Not everybody knows what that means. Identify what your nut is.
You are just hilarious. Anyway, what your monthly expenses are, okay?
Yeah.
And then set a goal that whatever income comes in can match that. For example,
Applebee's 2 for $20 is
yes,
bomb.
Lord, with the dessert too. So
yes.
Here's a plan. Example: your monthly expenses are $5,000 a month, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you say, okay, Social Security is going to get me $1,200 a month.
Right.
Got it? Retirement from your job is going to get you, $2,000.
Right.
So then now you have to find another way to get the rest to equal your number without you working.
And you have to account for inflation.
Correct. So my goal is to have enough built through different streams so that when I get to that stage, I have different choices. So what you should do is every decade, you should have a better choice.
Mm.
Got it? My choice at 30 should be better than my choice at 20. My choice at 40 should be better than it was at 30. My choice at 50 should be better than it was at 40.
That's good stuff.
So if you build by decade, because it takes a long time to build wealth, it doesn't come quickly. The Bible says wealth is gained little by little. So you just got to start. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Another one. 94% of those with great marriages discuss their money dreams together, compared to only 45% of those who say their marriage is okay or in crisis.
How many of you all have done the whole, Joe and I used to put a picture of a house that we liked up on the wall in our master bedroom, or we would put a picture of a car that we liked and put it on, maybe even like a dream board or something.
Mm-hmm.
So why you're getting up in the morning. How many couples out there is listening do that?
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Another good stat. 54% of people in great marriages talk about money daily or weekly.
Wow.
Now, see, money tight, you don't want to talk about it. Or you did a secret purchase, you don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Now, as you grow and your financial situation changes, you can loosen the purse strings. Like, I don't think we've talked, she doesn't really talk to me about purchases now. I don't remember last time you talked to me about a purchase.
I talked to you about getting Josiah some shoes. We were in the bed. That was like a couple of weeks ago, and you got them. Yeah,
that's not like major. Shoes, that's my point is the kids' clothes and shoes are a necessity. That's not like, I'm saying like a purchase that is outside, like a splurge item is what I'm trying to say, where he's like, you know what, I need to talk about this because it's going to be X, Y, or Z or something like that. But that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. 60% of those with consumer debt say they worry about finances monthly. What are you saying? Debt, the Bible says debt makes you a slave.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to live that way and feel good about you, yourself, or your relationship. So if I have great debt,
Right.
I got to start working that debt down. Real talk. And if you don't have a lot of debt, don't get yourself in a situation of debt, because right now a lot of people get caught up with, different college loans and those kind of things that can really put you in a bad spot.
One of the things that is really good to do if you have a lot of credit card debt is to pay off the smaller amounts first.
Snowball. Yep.
And then take the amount that you are paying toward the smaller one and continue to pay that on top of the big one. So eliminate, like if you have 5 different credit cards and 2 of them are super small, get rid of those 2, and what you're putting on those 2, start knocking off the next, smallest amount until you can put all of the money toward the bigger credit card and knock that down.
Yeah.
The key is not to keep using the credit card after you have paid it off, because then that defeats the whole purpose.
And to be mindful not to allow your eyes to supersede your budget.
Right.
You don't have to have everything now. And I'm telling you, I don't care what the brand is, you can get a discount.
I don't know about that.
I know.
It's certain brands, it's never going to go on sale.
Somebody won't get rid of it. Neither here nor there. That's just my 2 cents. All I'm saying.
I mean, if you want to buy it used or pre-loved, you can get
gently.
Sometimes even, you guys think when you go on Real or Tradesy or whatever, you're getting a good deal. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you could go on in the store and get that item for cheaper than what you're paying on Tradesy and Real. So do your research before you start buying names and thinking that, I'm going to get it used and I'm going to go to one of these used sites and get it for cheaper. Sometimes it's cheaper on a regular site. And they're just playing off of people's ignorance. So
preach, preacher.
You're never going to see Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Fendi. They don't do sales. It's a reason. It is what it is. Now Gucci, you can go to the outlet, get some Gucci. You don't have to go to the store. You get a good deal too.
You preaching. So
that's what you see everywhere.
Anyway, fam, money and marriage. You got to make sure if you want to have a lasting marriage, you got to figure out the money challenge. And the key aspect is the less debt, the less stress.
Right.
The more debt, more stress.
And communicate.
This is where we're trying to get to. The reason why we're on a budget is we're trying to be here at X date. And the reason why we're making a sacrifice is we're going to try to do this. Or the reason why we're making a sacrifice is we want our kids to go to college. Whatever it is.
Right.
You have to be willing to talk about it. And the cool thing about it is I love talking about it. And you have to get the place of, this is where we're going to go. And the more you save and the more you acquire, man, it's exciting. I was listening to a brother named Grant Cardone. Many of you all know he's a very powerful speaker. And he said him and his wife, they have a weekly business meeting. A monthly business meeting. And they sit down and they go through everything spent, what's coming in and what's going out.
That's good.
They run their family like a business. I think it's a great idea. Whereas you sit down with all the bills and talk about it and say, these are the goals, because what happens, you'll never change what you don't confront.
Right.
You'll never get to where you're trying to get to if you don't talk about it. And there's so many little small purchases that we never see.
Right.
And I don't even look at the statements as much as I should. I just don't have I have not locked in. I did it and then I stopped. But my point to you is it's not a good model. It's a good model to try to be on top of what's coming in and what's coming out.
That's good.
Well, we love you to life.
Thank you so much for spending time with us this week.
Remember this, the more debt, the more stress.
That was a setup.
No, I'm sorry.
You said, remember this.
I know. I was trying to close out. I was trying to put a button.
Close it. I'm sorry.
Be mindful that the more debt you have, it often leads to stress, frustration, and anxiety. The less debt you have, the less pressure you have. So with that being said, Charmaine,
Remember this.
love, laugh, and learn. Have a wonderful evening, man. God bless you. Bye-bye, everybody.